بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawah al-Quran wa Durr, the Juz of the Quran and its pairs. We have reached Surah Al-A'raf, the heights, and I think we should begin. So Imam Al-Ghazali, for your knowledge, selected the first verses that he selected from this surah, from this chapter of the Quran, are verses 29 to 31. And there is a need to introduce the surah and to pave our way until we reach verse 29, and to see, to highlight certain verses. The first thing, of course, is the name of the surah itself, Al-A'raf. Some scholars said that about the A'raf study, for example. This is a narration that Imam al-Tabari narrated in his tafsir, that he said about وَبَيْنَهُمَ حِجَاب. This is from Al-A'raf 46. He said, was sur, that's the wall, a high wall between paradise and hellfire. And he said, وَهُوَ الْأَعْرَافِ. And here we have the name being mentioned. It has been also said that there are people, the rijal, وعلى الأعراف رجال. Of course, this is mentioned in Surah Al-A'raf, still in 46. ونادى أصحاب الأعراف, this is 48. There are people who are, there is no consensus about the meaning of those rijal. First of all, rijal does not necessarily mean only men, as they say in Arabic, للتغليب. It would include both men and women. If we talk about human beings, we have interpretations that there are people who do not have bad, negative enough sins to go to hellfire, but they don't have enough good deeds to go to paradise, and they are stuck in that area. There is another tafsir that it is the rijal, those rijal are. It's a reference to the angels, but there is no consensus about the interpretation of this name. The surah, which begins really with a call to follow a revelation. In verse number 3, of course, we have these letters at the beginning of the surah, الأحرف المقطعة, ألف لام ميم صاد. Of course, the Qur'an is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed us in this language, all the Qur'an is based on these Arabic letters. 14 of them are mentioned in الأحرف المقطعة. There's a challenge there. You do have the letters. Can you come up with the Quran like this? And usually, if these letters are mentioned, there's a reference to the book, to revelation, to the Quran. Immediately here, in this case, in verse number 2, كتاب أنزل إليك. So we have this aspect too. In verse 3, اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء. So there's it's a commandment to follow revelation, as simple as that. what do I mean by as simple as that? If the Quran says something, if the Sunnah says something, and we are sure about the the hadith that it is sound, and we are sure about the meaning. This is the role now of the fuqaha, of the jurists, of the uh, scholars, Muslim scholars of Islamic law. They can decipher. They have the tools to understand the message. For example, is it a commandment or not? Okay. In general, this surah also has another two names. It is Surah Al-Miqat because it does mention the Miqat of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, the meeting of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, like going to receive revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى لِمِيقَاتِنَا. This is really the verse where the miqat is mentioned. Another, the name is Al-Mithaq because of that original mithaq, original covenant with all humanity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them witness to His oneness subhanahu wa ta'ala in the original state of being, before they are. Every human being was present, and this verse وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدُهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى شَهِدْنَا. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your Lord, addressing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, took from the children of Adam, from them, literally from their backs, but it could be a metaphor to a metaphor, but still the origin, the human being, be the origin of these of humanity at large, really, and made them bear witness against themselves that He is, am I not your Lord? They said, yes, we bear witness. So this is why it is called Al-Mithaq, the covenant. The themes of this surah, I mentioned one of them, to follow revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to follow other sources. And by the way, it uses awliya, so to align oneself with let's say, for as an example today, with postmodernism. Okay. Once one of my students told me on his own, and it's something that I did not discuss details with anyone. This is literally 30 years ago. He told me that he was influenced by reading, I think, Jacques Derrida, the French philosopher. So we do have, in fact, we have not only students, we have intellectuals who come from a Muslim background who subscribe to these postmodern philosophies, if you will. and they claim originality. Maybe one day we'll talk about this in details. This would be a case of the opposite. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا مِن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ. They did. And in fact, they would deny that they have been influenced by Jacques Derrida. That student who said that he was influenced by Jacques Derrida, he questioned his own faith. A short while afterwards, a week, two, he said that he regained his faith, and okay, I would say that it is good to know what's going on in the world of thought, in the world, and what's going on in philosophy, if you will. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but one, how would you answer? How would you answer? How do you respond to these different worldviews? اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم. So it's a direct commandment to follow the revelation and to follow the worldview, to follow the law. So if the law, and this is something within the last week or so, a few days ago, the United States Surgeon General made a very dramatic statement about the relationship between alcohol and cancer. That alcohol does cause 6 to 7 types of cancer, and he demanded that alcohol will be labeled, that it will have a warning, pretty much like tobacco boxes, cigarettes. They have these warnings that tobacco causes or might cause cancer. We know at the same time that these warnings did not prevent people from smoking, and most probably it will not prevent people from drinking. But here we are. The Qur'an prohibited the consumption of alcohol. The Sunnah made it very clear that even the smallest amount, if too much of it intoxicates, then a little bit of it is prohibited. Follow this path, follow the law, follow the Sharia is the path, really. So we talk about Islamic law. You save yourself the trouble. Of course, for us there is the religious aspect. We don't talk about only health, but as a result, you simply you don't have to deal with the consequences of breaking the law. From an Islamic point of view, it's the law, the revealed law. And if one listens carefully to what physicians say about other things, such as tobacco, whether it is smoking, whether it's chewing tobacco, whatever, that does cause cancer. It could be the gum, it could be the mouth, it could be the beyond that, and the body. Different types of cancer might be related to smoking tobacco because of your lungs. So it's the law. Follow it and you will benefit. Follow the Sunnah, you will benefit. You might not realize it personally. Not everyone will be exposed enough to what's going on in the world of science, enough to see the proof for himself, for herself, that, alhamdulillah, the Quran, the Sunnah, the Islamic worldview is the right path. So we have this call, no matter what we say, one needs to follow what has been revealed. This surah, one might find this theme in directly or indirectly in and throughout the Quran, there's a warning really. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran to warn people, to remind people, to one needs to call people. The Muslims have already accepted. Then it is the right of the others, it's the right of non-Muslims to be called. It is their, just understand it like this, it is their right to be called, to be invited. We have to, it's not up to us, but we need to do two things. One of them is verbal, invitation verbal. It could be a lecture, but could be also, it is using language. It could be also written. What's better, at least, will be like a testimony. If you fulfill what you preach, if you walk the talk, as they say it, because the Islamic worldview will be ultimately, one might understand why all this fuss, all this Islamophobia, all these trying to prevent, to spread, in fact, they try to spread misinformation about Islam in a systematic way. One can't point to specific people, specific organizations. They made it their primary objective to spread misinformation about Islam and Muslims, because Islam will does literally face wrong beliefs, wrong legal issues. You talk about euthanasia, absolutely from haram from Islamic perspective. You cannot kill someone because you are merciful to this person. That's not how it works. You don't legalize the use of recreational drugs, as they call them. So Islam would face that, would reject that. Islam would reject unacceptable customs. You cannot simply say, well, we have been like this for hundreds of years. It doesn't make much difference for how long you've been like this. Some customs, whether in non-Muslim or in Muslim countries, politically, Islam does face the, and I'm talking about themes within Surah Al-A'raf still. Also, Islam objects to opposes unjust political systems, and it's rampant today. These unfair conditions where people suffer. Yes, this is why it's going to be challenging to continue to advocate the Islamic worldview as a way of life, but that's really what people need. It's their right. Let's remember, it's their right to be invited. Another theme is this surah directs the hearts and minds towards the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards accepting the law that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to understand the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be worshipped. No association. No one else should be worshipped. Nothing else should be worshipped, because people might take another human being for God, or simply another thing, an association, or on its own. The Meccans, the idol worshippers, the polytheists in the pre-Islamic period, if you ask them why they worship these idols, they would say to bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is literally, I would say, an amazing thing, despite they knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, they knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. But the problem is that they created all these idols. And sometimes, like said Umar ibn Khattab, he created his idol from dates, the fruit, and it's practically, because it's very sticky, you can shape it the way you want. And whenever he used to get hungry, he would eat it. Another theme is that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator. He created the universe, He created the earth, He created the human beings. He enabled them, He provided for them. He provided us with all the necessary things to keep us alive and to thrive. It is us, our sustenance. It surrounds us, but we shouldn't. Today, our way of life, not only Muslims and non-Muslims, our way of life destroys the habitat, disrupts the ecosystem, pollutes the air, water, and earth. And the solution is not to go to Mars. This is not against science. How many people will go? 8 people, for example. That will be 1 in a billion. So all the rest of them, the 8 billion people, will stay on Earth. This is not against science. It's basically, it does not solve the problem on Earth. We need to be serious. No more wars. Wars mean simply more money, finding its way to the pockets of the military industries, wherever they exist. Literally, peace is against the military industry. Literally, it is against warmongers. Literally, peace is against those who keep creating wars, who shun peace in more than one way. It's obvious. Another theme of this surah, that it directs one sight and insight to this universe, to the when you say the secrets, not the secrets that they are that they will never be unknown to us. They will be life, the individual life, the life of the individual will end with questions unanswered. Life of humanity of this universe will end without answering all questions. Remember in آية الكرسي ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. This part of the آية الكرسي, the verse of the throne in Surah Al-Baqarah, shows that we encompass only part of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills for us to know. Of course, we need to do research, we need to observe, we need to. Islam is not against science, but ultimately we will still have more questions than answers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the universe with all its details. Another theme is establishing, clarifying the belief in resurrection, returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the hereafter, the day of judgment. and that the deeds will be weighed on the day of judgment, and the people will be rewarded uh, according to what they have done in this life. And the messengers themselves, the prophets, will be asked about whether they have proclaimed the message, whether they have advocated the message, spread out the message. Those who did the good deeds will inherit the paradise, and those who they are otherwise, they will be they will land in hellfire, وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And also that the hour, meaning the day of judgment, will come out of a sudden. There will be signs. People sometimes keep themselves busy with the signs, the minor signs, um, the there are literally, there's a Murata and Chitik. There's a statement there in their book saying that Islam has more signs, more information about the end of time scenario more than any other religion, meaning that Judaism and Christianity do not have the same. They do not have the same, literally quantifying the number of signs preceding the day of judgment. Fewer major signs, but by that time, once these major signs unfold, we'll be pretty much very close. In fact, we are very close. I'm not saying that I cannot say anything. It's not that I'm prohibited. We don't have knowledge of the hour. But since the Prophet ﷺ said himself that بعثت والساعة كهاتين, the Prophet ﷺ said that I was sent with the hour is close, and he used two fingers indicating, and he moved them to indicate that the birth and the messengership of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ are associated with the a very close time of the. This one might be kind of relative, but doesn't mean that it's going to take forever. One day it's going to take place. A major theme, I say a major because of what's going on around the globe, and we'll get to that in details, inshallah. It's about wearing your best, but we'll get to that, inshallah, in due time. Wearing your best when you go to the mosque, but this means also we should address the notion of the dress code in Islam for men and women. Modesty, but we have details, and to contextualize this, to wear you proper and also beautiful, really, as much as possible, if that's really available, clothing to the mosque, because remember that in pre-Islamic Arabia, people used, men during the day and women during the night, they used to circumambulate the Kaaba, the mosque in Mecca, al-Masjid al-Haram, naked, literally. But it's inshallah, it's an important issue, because your dress code comes from revelation, not from the fashion houses in Paris and London and Rome and New York and what have you. They literally ask the question, what is going to be the fashion what is out of fashion and what's going to be the fashion in 2025. Less clothing, more skin, flesh appearing, and more expensive because it's fashionable. The dress code comes from Revelation. The another theme is that of Surah Al-Araf is that the earth is not up to the world leaders to do whatever they want. It is for Allah. It belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it could be taken from you and given to other people. Let me summarize by saying Ibn Khaldun, rahimahullah, in his Muqaddimah, compare the stages of the human being to a state. A human being is born in a state of weakness as a baby, as a child, then becomes strong as a young man, and then becomes old and weak and feeble. And so the state, it begins weak, becomes strong, and then becomes weak again. Look at how all these empires that disappeared. The Greek civilization. Yes, there is Greece today, and the language is there, but the Greek civilization that extended to all shores of the Mediterranean is no more. The Roman Empire is no more. So that's an example only. In general, there is a call to listen to the Qur'an, to tend to the revelation, and I would say listening. Of course, you listen with your ears, but if one tries to listen with his or her heart, really to internalize, to really challenge his or her inherited beliefs, we'll get to that inshallah in maybe inshallah in the next reading. So this was an introduction to Surah Al-A'raf. I'm sure there is more to say, but while we are reading this surah, we will, despite its length, really, Imam Al-Ghazali did not choose much jewels or pearls from this surah. So until the next reading, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.